Welcome to One Shot D&D. I'm your host, Judah, and today I'm joined by a very close friend of mine. I've had the pleasure of being his DM for several years, and I've also had the pleasure of witnessing his extraordinary DMing skills myself. It is an honor to introduce Benjamin Ludlow to the podcast. Say hi to the people.
Hello, everyone.
Ben, what got you into D&D?
It was actually my younger brother-in-law. Yeah, he ended up buying a D&D book, the Player's Handbook, because he was interested, and I'm just like, D&D, I'm not real sure on this, but he was so excited, so I'm just like, okay, we'll give this a go, because I wanted to, spend some time with him, and he was very enthusiastic, and, here we are several years later, and honestly, the number of people in my life that now play D&D is just crazy.
Staggering,
Yeah.
It's like a cult where you realize that there's something outside in the ether and you go, oh, what is that? And then you dip your toe and before you know it, you're fully immersed swimming and you're pulling other people in. You're like, if I have to swim, you have to swim with me. I don't know if you definitely had it growing up, but when I was growing up, D&D was definitely the work of the devil. D&D was the occult. And if you got into D&D, you're a witch. So breaking through that and then finally playing D&D and go, oh no, you can be a witch or a wizard or a rogue or a barbarian. It's not all occult material. But can you please introduce the character you've brought to the table today?
So I have a Tabaxi blood hunter named Fluffles of the Southern Plains.
Christ. Okay, is that Fluffles with a capital F?
That's a capital F.
Hate that I have to write that into the script now. Fluffles. God damn it. Peek behind the screen. I never let a person tell me the name of their character up until we start recording, because I always want to be shocked someone's going to choose like a really cool name, like, I don't know, Geralt of Rivia, or, fucking Fluffles. Let's go with that. Yeah. Cool. And you said that you are a Tabaxi blood hunter, is that?
Tabaxi blood hunter.
Yeah.
Path of the Mutant.
Brilliant. Yeah, I love that. We've chatted a little bit about this one-shot idea in the past where it was essentially The Witcher and D&D is so closely intertwined. I mean, the whole idea of a blood hunter comes from Matt Mercer creating a class for his friend who wanted to play a Witcher anyways. So a blood hunter is just perfect for this one-shot. You ready to start?
I certainly am.
We begin our tale in the bustling little town of Carleon, a logging town once famous for carpentry due to the abundance of nearby oak trees. However, the town has since experienced a handful of devastating events, raging fires, mad witches, and more recently, a monster invasion. You enter a very desperate town, hoping to return to its former glory. The heavy rain soaks the mud-covered cobblestone. The depressing squeaks of carriages and the squelching of dirty boots surround you as you walk into town. What do you do?
Well, since it's raining, I'm going to look for the closest inn to get myself dry.
Yeah, it's still fairly early into the afternoon, so about 1 or 2 o'clock. There are plenty of shops still open, but the inn that's closest to you has patrons that are walking inside this building. You're sure to find a warm meal there. You see a sign for an inn that says the Hunter's Valley, sponsored by New South Wales. You enter into this building, but unlike most establishments, to your surprise, this place is mostly empty. Patrons are there, but they're scattered about and tend to hush their conversation when they see you pass. The bartender speaks to you. Ah, gosh, another Witcher. Look, like we said before, we can't offer you payment up front. The last one just disappeared with 800 orens before the job was done. So please just forgive us if we're not real trustful. Are you kind?
You mentioned previous witches. What type of witcher were they? I am from the organization of the Cat. So were they an Order of the Wolf or something else?
Well, I didn't really pay attention. The last Witcher, something about a wolf or a dog or some sort. I don't know. He had a medallion that looked like the one that you're wearing, but obviously not feline in nature. I can't tell you much apart from that. All I remember is him stealing 800 orens, and then I never saw his face again. The last guy, he said, oh, you guys might have a strigger aboard. The first attack was under a full moon. The fella mentioned that he could lift the curse by preventing the monster from returning to its coffin or whatever before the third crow of a rooster. But again, he took our 800 orens, and we never saw him after that night. That's all I got for you, man. If you want more information, I don't know, fucking go ask Yavanna or something. She works at the pottery. She's the only one that saw the creature attacking the cows in the field anyways. That's the best piece of information I can give you. But if you want a warm meal and you're gonna pay for it, I can help you out.
So the town is still good for the reward?
No, I mean, look, it might take us a couple of days, but we can definitely get you the money, right? 800 orens to you may not seem like much, but our town hasn't seen good days recently.
Monster attacks can be like that.
Well, it's not just monster attacks. It's been a lot, fires, unexplained horrors. It's just
A string of bad luck.
a string of bad luck. No, yeah, look, for sure. It's more like a tightly woven linen cloth at this point. There's so many strings of bad luck, you could weave a basket, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get that. Well, I'd like to reserve a room and a meal, and I will be back. Where is this pottery shop?
A meal and a room, I'd say it costs you 10 orens. Yeah, it might be a bit expensive, but hey, look around. Inflation hit all of us, right? And the pottery, if you walk outside, you turn right, it'll be down a few blocks, but you won't miss it. There's a huge sign that says everything about the pottery and whatnot. So, what do?
I pass over the orens, and I walk out, heading for the pottery shop.
Yeah, cool. So you hand over your 10 orens. You see he turns around and gets a key, puts it down on the bench, and he goes, well, do you want the meal now or do you want the meal later?
I'll take it later.
And you can see that he clearly does not have food prepared, so he's kind of relieved. You walk outside the tavern and you turn right and you locate a pottery sign down a few blocks. With your eyes, your cat-like eyes, can see a lot better than most people. And you can see down a few blocks, and you find a sign that clearly reads that it's a pottery. What I am going to get you to do is roll me perception while you're looking around.
That would be a 12.
A 12. With a 12, you don't see too much. You obviously see the pottery sign, but as you're looking around, you do see that there's a little girl peeking around the corner of one of the parked carriages. What do?
Hello there, little girl.
As you turn the corner and peek your head around and look at her, she gasps, and then she looks at you.
Are you a witcher? You don't look like a witcher. The last one wore black armour and he had red hair. My mum told me that witches are not real people. Are you people or not? Doesn't really matter, because you're not a witcher anyways.
And then you see that before you can respond, she just turns around and starts skipping away.
Strange little girl.
As this happens, no one else around the village is taking mind. They just think, oh yeah, this is another witcher that's coming to town. They don't even pay you any mind at this point. You make your way towards the pottery and you find two young maidens. They're busy arranging pottery and, putting items on shelves, marking things. They acknowledge you as you enter. The one to your right has hair that's blonde, freckles, and she wears a silver orchid brooch on her person, whereas the one on your left has olive skin and thick black hair. She wears a golden necklace with a butterfly pendant on it. Obviously, they saw you enter, they smile, but they, pardon the pun, they potter along, and they're just getting their job done. What do?
I heard this was the place to come see about the witch's contract.
Who are you saying that to?
It was Vanessa?
Yavanna.
Yavanna.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. So you turn over and you speak to the girl who you assume is Yavanna. The girl with the blonde hair turns to you and she smiles, but then the girl with the olive skin turns to you and goes, oh, forgive us, sir, but my sister Yavanna don't speak too good. I'm Charlotte and I can speak for her if you wish. I expect that you'll hear about the Strigger.
I certainly am, Charlotte. What can you tell me about what this Strigger has done to the town?
She turns to her sister, who's gesticulating like she's saying something, and Charlotte turns back to you and goes, well, Yavanna here was the only one who saw the Strigger, but she said that it was tall and skinny and that it had long claws and that it was scratching at the cows at the field. And she can't obviously screamed, but it must have seen her and it disappeared.
Which of the paddocks was this?
It was the paddock near the lumber yard. I'm not too sure who owns it, but cows roam there all the time from other farms, so I guess it's just free land, really.
And what time was this sighting?
This was under the full moon, so close to 9 or 10, maybe a bit later, 11, It's just Yavanna and I in the shop, so...
Has there been any other sightings?
Well, not that we can remember, and not that Yavanna has seen. I haven't seen any sightings myself. I'd find that terribly awful, I would. Can't imagine seeing a Striga. Go ahead and roll a history check for me.
That is a 22.
22, yeah, brilliant. You, being a witcher, you've done extensive training on monsters and their patterns, what they look like and what they do, essentially. From memory, a Striga is not tall and it's not skinny, but it does have long claws. For you, this just doesn't seem to make sense. Why is a Striga attacking a cow? As you ask a couple more questions, Charlotte is doing her best to translate for Yavanna, but Yavanna taps Charlotte on the shoulder and explains something to her. Charlotte looks at her a bit befuddled and then turns to you. Yavanna also said that the Striga ran towards the direction of the town well. This is the first time she's mentioned it to me, but I don't know if that's of use to you at all.
I believe it would be. Has anyone gone missing around the well?
Not really. We noticed that the well looked a bit off lately. The past couple of months, no one's really ventured close to the well, but the attack only happened a couple of nights ago. 3, 4, maybe 5 nights ago.
This is a new monster, then?
Well, we were told by the last Witcher, the one with the red hair and the black armour, much like yours, of course, that it was a Striga. So, to the best of our knowledge, it's a Striga.
Not so sure about that, but only further investigation will help us to discover the truth. I thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, and by all means, if you'd like to come again, please do so. We could really use the business. And Yavanna smiles at you, that's all she can do, but those two girls go back and they're just pottering. I gotta stop saying that. They're just going back and doing their work. What do?
I'm gonna head towards that well.
So, as you walked outside the tavern, you definitely saw towards the left-hand side there was a town well, and you definitely passed it as you were walking into the village. So it's a couple blocks back the way you came, but you can make your way to the town well. The rain that was super heavy at first when you first walked into the village has really slowed down now. It's still there, but it's more just spitting right now. You get to the town well, and you notice that the villagers subconsciously just tend to walk around the well, and they avoid the shale structure entirely. What do?
I start looking around at what townsfolk are about, and because I have a couple of questions for them. So as I look around, is there anyone that looks like that would be good to ask a couple of questions of?
Yeah, sure. Roll a perception check for me.
An 11.
11? Okay. You're going around, and as you are trying to make eye contact, obviously your feline eyes are a little bit intimidating to most people, apart from that little girl you saw earlier today. She's looking dead straight at you, again, peeking around the corner and giggling to herself. What do?
So she's round the corner. Is it a round corner of one of the buildings, down one of the alleys?
Imagine a cart that's just parked outside of a building. She's just hiding behind it. You can clearly see her feet from underneath. There's so much of a gap between the wheels. She's not really doing a good job of hiding.
Well, I walk up to her. Hello, little girl again. It's the not Witcher. Remember? We met?
Of course I remember you. You're not really a Witcher.
Why are all these people walking around this well? Isn't it a vital part of this town where people get all their water from?
Not really. That well has been dried up for years. My mum told me that well dried up when the Great Fires came around. Apparently a mad mage came and he set fire to all the water sources all around town. That well being one of them. That mage came around well before I was born, and I'm 11 years old. So I'm pretty smart. And I can tell you that well has been dried up for a decade.
Yes, that sounds about right. You are indeed a smart little girl. So why does everyone avoid it then? It's just a dry well after all.
Well, what good is a dry well?
It just seems to be spooking everyone.
Nah, not really. Apart from the voices that people hear and the strange shadows that surround the town, I don't really think there's anything to be scared of.
Ah, the voices.
All the other witches could hear it.
What sort of things did they tell you?
I don't know. I'm not a witcher. Kinda like you. Probably why you can't hear the voices.
I guess so. And the shadows.
What shadows?
You mentioned shadows about?
Did I mention shadows? If you think about it, they're everywhere, really.
And you see that she's starting to look around, and there's nothing that your witcher eyes are picking up. You're looking in the same direction that she's looking, and you don't see anything suspicious. It almost feels like this girl's just stringing you along. What do?
Well, I'd be careful of those shadows, little girl.
I'm always careful. My mum told me that I'm the most careful girl in all of the town. I'm also, I think, the only girl in town. The others have left.
Where did they leave to?
Surrounding towns, other places, other villages, places that are doing a little bit better than us. But we own a farm. My mother says that I will own the farm one day too.
Ah, so you must have all the little boys chasing you.
She giggles, smirks, and you see that she gets really red in the face, and she goes,
Well, nice to meet you, non-witcher. But I have to go. My mum says it's late.
and you see that she just turns around again, skips away.
Strange little girl.
Cool. You can head back to the well and do a little bit more digging, investigating if you'd like.
Yeah, I go up to the well and I start having a look. Is there any evidence of the fire she spoke about?
So, just a general look. It's not like you see soot from 10 years ago. Obviously, being in the middle of town and all this rain around, it's not like soot is around the well. But you do see that the stone has been blackened by flames before. You can give me a investigation or perception check to see if you get more.
Okay. I got a 14.
14, okay. You see three things. There is a bucket that's attached to the little beam that you can winch down to draw some water out of the well, but you see that it's actually wrapped around the main beam several times. Upon closer inspection, the rope is not frayed, and it seems fresh, and it also indicates that something with opposable thumbs and no sharp claws wrap this rope. The second thing you see is the roof of this well. There seems to be no significant damages. Anything tall has definitely not, gone up and hit its head or scratched anything unnecessarily. The third thing you see is as you hold a light over the opening of the well, you find a mostly dried up hole. You do your due diligence, and as you scan around, you see deep claw marks etched into the stone inside the well. You run your finger across the mark, and you find that it's mostly smooth, suggesting that this mark was made deliberately, or that it was manufactured in one way or another. The direction of the marks are almost perfectly vertical as well, suggesting that the creature, whatever it was leaning over the lip of the well, and may have attempted to grab something before it fell down the well.
I'm going to have a look down the well.
You can unwrap the bucket and let it down if you'd like.
Okay, it's alright. I'm a tabaxi. I'm just going to waltz down.
Yeah, cool. You head on down, you walk on the walls, and as you go through, you see that it gets darker and darker. Obviously, it's getting close to, let's say, 2:30 p.m. right now. So there's still a lot of sun, but rain clouds, so it's definitely a little bit more dim. With your tabaxi eyes, you're fine. As you walk, you actually start to see some sort of shimmering inside the muck. The rain has definitely softened the dirt, made it a bit more muddy, but you see something shimmering right at the very bottom of the well.
Before I reach the bottom, I'm going to pull out one of my torches. I'm going to light it and I'm going to drop it.
Yeah, cool. You drop it and it hits into the mud. You see that the torch is still alight. The side of it that is unaffected by the mud is still burning, but the light shines off this shimmering object a little bit more, and you recognize it as some sort of silver material.
I'm going to head down there very carefully, not get too muddy, and I'm going to pull that out of the mud.
Yeah. You pull this thing out of the mud, and you see that it is a silver brooch in the shape of an orchid. You remember seeing Yavanna wearing the same silver brooch on her person. What do you do?
Well, since I'm down here, I'll have a bit of a look around. Is it just a small bottom welled area, or is it open up into anything?
It's just a small bottomed well. There's nothing really apart from this circular tube.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing of note, no secret entrances. As you were walking around, didn't feel like anything was loose at all. Just a well.
Okay, I grab that and I walk my way back up the well.
You, as a witcher, being of the cat school, and a tabaxi, walk up the well, and as you do that, you see some of the villagers turn around and they go, fucking witches. But you, being a tabaxi, this is normal to you. What do you do with that brooch?
I'm going to head back to the pottery shop.
Yeah, okay. So you remember the general direction of the pottery shop.
Mm-hmm.
You walk back towards the pottery shop. The store seems eerily quiet from the outside. The silence is somewhat palpable from the outside of the store. What do you do?
What's the time of day?
Still about 2:30. Let's say it took you about 5, maybe 10 minutes to walk down the well.
How large is the building?
I'd say it's a decent-sized building. It's a single-storied building. But yeah, there is enough room for there to be a front entrance, the main floor that you saw, possibly a kiln in the back, and so therefore a back entrance as well into the kiln.
Well, I will walk up to the front door and see if it's unlocked.
Yep. So you go and you just gently push at the door and it unlocks. It opens just like you had pushed through it before.
Does the room look like I remember?
Exactly like you remember. I mean, apart from a couple of things that have been put on shelves or taken off shelves.
I'm gonna call out, hello, are you here?
You hear nothing.
Strange. I'm going to close it back up and climb up onto the roof. And I'm going to start walking towards the back, listening if there's any noises on the inside of the building.
Very good. What I'm going to get you to do is roll a stealth check for me.
That is an 18.
Yeah, go. With an 18, you silently walk up this roof and start slowly crawling your way into the back entrance. As you walk, you're paying very close attention to even the most minuscule of noises coming from inside the shop. You hear nothing. You don't even hear the sounds of fire in the kiln. There's no smoke coming out this chimney. Seems like the shop, within the 10-15 minutes that you were away, is completely shut down.
Is there any movement in the backyard?
No, there's no movement, but the door is open in the backyard.
Okay, I will very quietly drop down and walk into the back door.
Yeah, cool. Are you drawing out a weapon or anything like that for now? How cautious are you being?
Small area. I'm going to pull out my silvered rapier.
You draw your silvered weapon and walk through the back entrance nice and slow, inspecting every corner as carefully as you possibly can. Silence. It feels unnatural. And then suddenly, Yvonne's hand grab your gauntlet and her grip on your wrist hardens. You go to swing your silvered rapier towards her, but you look at her face and you see small cracks appearing all over her face. You look down at where she's grabbed your wrist and you see that it is petrifying right before you. Within moments, Yvonne turns to stone right in front of you. What do?
Can I pull my hand out from hers?
So as her hand is petrifying, you do manage to rip your hand out, but it does break a couple of fingers off, and they just crumple to the ground.
Do I see her sister about?
No.
Do I hear or see anything else apart from her?
You can make a perception check for me if you'd like.
That's 13.
13. As you're looking around, you are not panicking. You are trained for these situations, but you're looking around and you don't see anything out of the ordinary apart from the fact that someone just petrified right in front of you. And then you suddenly hear the front door open. What do?
So you said there were 3 rooms?
Oh, technically divided into 3 spaces, but there's only one wall separating them.
I look around for a place to hide.
Yeah, cool. Roll another stealth check.
An 11.
An 11? Okay. You try frantically to find a place to hide, and really, apart from the kiln and a couple of racks around, there's not a lot of space for you, but being a tabaxi, you find a way to, kind of like a cat, pour yourself into a mug and make yourself liquid. Find a way to squeeze into the kiln. It's not hot, it hasn't been fired today. And after a moment of silence of just waiting, rapier in hand, the figure of a young woman walks around the corner. You see Charlotte walking in with some fresh loaves of bread. She gasps in horror, and the baked goods fall to the ground, and she can't help but immediately begin to weep. What do?
I'm gonna sit back and watch for a little bit longer.
Yeah, cool. So you see her just sobbing. She walks up to her and tries to very gently pat her, and when she realizes that it's too late, she just gives her a massive hug. She's yelling, Yavanna, Yavanna. There's no response.
While she's doing that, I'm going to quietly come to the doorway and just quickly knock on the wall.
Yeah, cool. So you knock on the wall, she turns to face the wall, and she's frantic at this point.
Who is it?
Charlotte, it's me, the Witcher.
Oh, God. What's happened to her?
It appears she's turned to stone. How strange. This is definitely not the work of a Striga.
I became so worried for her. I found a stupid note, and I thought the best thing that I could do to ward off all the evil that came from that note. I brought her that silver brooch from that old hag outside the village. She promised me that it would protect her from that bloody pale-skinned fella.
I'll grab that brooch off her.
It's turned to stone, essentially.
So it's stuck to her.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone else buy any of those brooches.
We got it from the old hag. I got it for her once I found this blasted note.
Can I have a look at the note?
She looks a little bit worried. She hands you a letter, and the letter reads, "To my beloved, meet me at the edge of the forest in the light of the next full moon." Give me an arcana or a perception.
16.
Beautiful. This letter has some sort of magical presence to it. You divine using your arcane abilities, and you find traces of the Chaos spell, a spell used to control people. I knew he was trouble. I just don't know why he chose my sister.
I will do all I can for your sister's murderer.
If you want more of a description, he was rather slim, and he wore extremely fine clothing. His skin was pale, and his eyes were piercing red colour, a gold signet ring, and it had a red ruby upon it, on his pinky.
As you are listening to her, though, you're still tapped into the magic of the letter, and you feel another artifact in the room with the same magical properties as this letter. Now that you've tapped into it, I'll give you a perception check with advantage.
16.
Brilliant. You follow this magical trail, and it seems a little bit more fresh than this current letter that you have in your hand. But you follow it, and you find another letter, stashed away under a thick stack of loose papers. This letter is nearly identical in its makeup. The lettering, the texture of the paper, the spacing between the letters. The words on this letter read, "Throw the false brooch into the well, and wear the one I have gifted you. It shall truly protect you." Charlotte followed you while you were doing this, and she remarks,
"That's very unlike my sister. She's never kept a secret from me. Trust me, I've no knowledge of this note, sir. I reckon that bloody rich prick has done this to her."
She walks out in front of you and looks directly into your eyes, something that normal people just don't do, but she's determined.
"Sir, I will gladly pay you anything that you ask for if you kill that bastard. But first, would you mind hurrying to that old hag? She must have an antidote or an elixir to break my sister out of this state. She lives in a small hut right outside the village. Please, sir."
She turns to face Yavanna.
"For her."
What do?
Give me the exact location, and I will hurry over immediately.
You follow Charlotte's direction, and you find the hut exactly where she described it to be. There is smoke bellowing out of the chimney as you approach, indicating that someone is inside, stoking the fire actively as you walk towards the building. What do?
As I walk towards the building, do I sense any magic or anything?
You sense heaps of magic. All different kinds of magic.
I come up to the door and I knock.
Yeah. You knock on the door, and you see no response, but the door just swings slightly open.
Do I see anyone peering, or is this just the door opening?
The door just opening on its own. You push the door further open, being very cautious, and you find a myriad of vials and pickled animal parts and hanging animal horns and books and tomes, everything that you would need from a magical shop. It smells absolutely vile in this place. The hut is illuminated by several candles that are just scattered around, but you see that there is one main source of light, and that is a very large fireplace currently being stoked by what you assume is an older lady with her back turned to you. The figure turns to face you.
Another witcher, come to Sister Bethany's abode. How may I be of service, monster hunter?
Sister, somebody has been petrified in the village and has asked for your assistance.
Ah, yes, the young girl who happens to have misplaced the brooch I gave her for safety. How can I help you, monster hunter?
I ask that you reverse the curse.
I cannot reverse a curse that I did not cast. You of all people should know that.
Do you know of a magic that would override such a thing?
I would give you ingredients for an antidote, but a man came in 3 days ago and bought all the ingredients needed to create such an antidote. So I assume if you find this man who has 3 days head start over you, then you could find a little antidote, monster hunter.
What did he look like?
Pale and skinny and tall, and he seemed very rich to have bought out Sister Bethany.
He wouldn't have happened to have a small pinky ring with a red stone, perhaps?
That information will cost you, Witcher.
And what are you looking for?
I have a little problem that I would like for you to take care of. A favor for a favor.
And what problem would that be?
My ravens tracked this very rich young man into the oak forest in the direction of the hangman's tree. I've had quite a little bit of trouble walking into that forest. I've had trouble procuring new ingredients. This man has made it hard for me to gather my ingredients, I suspect. A werewolf, hence the silver brooch. Take care of it for me, monster hunter, and I shall give you any piece of information you desire.
And here I thought I was under the clock, the man getting 3 days on me. What makes you think that I can stay around and fix your problem?
Many witches have come by, very recently, in fact, but something's a bit different about you, little monster hunter. Something truly special.
Is that so? Tell me this. This rich young man, does he live in the local area?
Not to my memory, no.
So he could be getting further away as we speak.
Possibly, but that really does not concern me, apart from the fact that I can't enter into the oak forest and gather my bloody ingredients if there's a werewolf around. I care not for this young man. I care for the werewolf, making my job hard.
I agree to fix your little werewolf problem after I've dealt with the young man.
Fine, but are we in agreement, monster hunter?
We are in agreement.
Fantastic. You see all the candles start flashing. Obviously the fireplace stokes a little bit, and you see her shadow grows before it dims back down as she cackles. She looks dead straight at you. That young man is taking a liking to Yavanna. Yes, he did have a red ruby gold ring. I don't know where this young man is, but I can have my ravens track him for you.
That would be most appreciated.
Wonderful. I'll call them over now. She clicks her fingers, and you see a flock of ravens just arrive. They're looking directly at you. What do you do?
So what, we just order them to go find him?
Yes, well, look, Sebastian can take you all the way there. Sebastian, why don't you take this
Handsome monster hunter to our little mystery man. And you see the crow caws, takes flight, and starts darting outside the building. What do you do?
I run after him.
Yeah, cool. You being a witcher, your stamina is quite good. You're running, and you're already outside the village. It takes you 10, 15 minutes worth of a decent paced jog to get to the edge of the oak forest. You get to the oak forest, and you see that the rain has somewhat died completely at this point. The raven goes to the very edge of the forest and then lands on the ground, but does not go further in. It looks directly at you, basically just gesturing, your turn. I'm not going any further than this. The ground is still wet enough that as you're walking, you're leaving behind footprints, so you can definitely find your way back home. Maybe. Who knows? Anything can happen.
So, you telling me he went in there?
The crow looks at you as a crow can. It's not talking.
Hang on,
But
hang
you,
on.
yeah, you swear to God it nodded.
That's what I got this background for. I have a rune carver background, so I will use Speak with Animals.
You cast Speak with Animals, and you see the crow just looks at you, cocks its head, as if it understands the fact that you now understand it, and it looks at you curiously.
Oi, bird, he went in there, right?
Yeah, he fucking went in there. But I didn't see nothing else apart from that. I'm not going inside there. You fucking kidding me? I don't want to die. There's a werewolf in there.
You could just fly over a werewolf, it's not that hard.
I know, but I don't want to take chances. Sister Bethany feeds us. She takes care of us. Why the fuck would I risk that in the forest? What do I need in there? Worms? Get the fuck out of here. What do I need worms for?
You're lucky I'm not hungry, bird.
It looks at you a little bit stunned, and it goes,
I should probably get back home, I guess. See ya.
and you see it just flies, flaps, and gets right past you.
Birds. I start looking to see if I can find a trail further in.
Yeah, you're looking around, and obviously this is a thick oak forest, and there's not a lot of gaps in between the trees or anything like that, but you do find an opening, a clearing that looks like there was a trail at some point when they were using this as a forest for lumber. So there is a trail, but it hasn't been used in a few decades. You can use that to definitely walk inside.
Is there any more recent tracks?
Not that you can see immediately, but if you would like, you definitely can roll for perception.
21.
21. Instantly, you find the spots where the crow landed, and that being the smallest footprint, you find yours behind you when you turn, but nothing immediate at all.
Useless crow. Oh well, I might as well have a look down here while I'm at it.
Sure. So you start walking in?
Mm-hmm.
All right. The forest silently embraces you as you weave deeper past the trees. The monotony of the trees would be disorienting to most people, but you're a witcher, and you have no issues navigating at all. You get into a clearing in the forest, and you find a lone Cirsus siliquastrum, also known as a redbud, also known as a Judas tree. But you find no clear entrance to a house or a cave or any kind of secret entrance.
Just the tree.
Just the hangman's tree. You can look around, you can perceive, or you can roll for investigation as well.
I'm going to start looking around, but I'm going to pull out my silvered rapier.
Yeah, cool. Brilliant. So you unsheath your silver rapier and you have it just on standby. You can either roll investigation or perception with advantage here.
21.
21. Brilliant. You are looking around being very, very cautious, very careful. As you're looking around, you see a pale figure standing between the trees. As you hold your weapon aloft and you start making your way closer, and you see that this is a humanoid of some sort, peeking around one of the trunks of the tree, but it's not moving. You get closer and closer, and your eyes obviously can see further than most. You start to notice cracks on the skin, pretty much the exact same cracks that you saw on Yavanna, another petrified villager. As you get close to it though, you touch it, doesn't look like this thing has moved in a couple of days. As you look at the feet, you see that mud has kind of come around it, so it's been here for a while. As that happens though, you hear a heavy thud on the other side of the hangman's tree. You rush, anticipating a fight of some sort, but you only find the carcass of a deer. You look at the deer though. Is there anything you'd like to do?
Has it got any bite marks?
It has 2 puncture wounds right at the base of the neck, and upon closer inspection, completely devoid of any blood. You notice that there are now footprints leading away from the deer. What do?
I am going to very stealthily follow those footprints.
Yeah. You are very, very light on your feet, being a tabaxi, but being a witcher, you're also much quieter than most people as you walk. As you're walking, you realize that these footprints are leading you deeper into the forest, almost like it's setting you up for something. You know that you're walking into someone else's territory, but you do this for a living. You cautiously follow the footprints, and they lead you to the entrance of a cave. A signpost outside the cave entrance reads, "Ask before you enter." What do?
How big of a cave does it look like just as I peer into the entrance?
It looks about the size of a French door, maybe. So not obviously huge, but big enough that 2 people can walk side by side if they needed to.
And how far down into the cave can I see?
It goes straight down, and then there's a turn to the left. So you can only see, let's say, about 10 feet, and then there's a turn to the left immediately. Going further down, you assume.
I have to slowly creep my way in.
As you try to creep in, you get to the very entrance, and again, that signpost is right there, and it says, "Ask before you enter." Would you like to continue walking through?
Yes.
As you walk in nice and silently, you are being very careful, but you feel something flick across your foot. You look down, and you see a piece of thread. The remnants of some sort of alarm, maybe. A voice echoes from the cavern. "I guess I grant you entrance into my domain."
I light a torch and I yell out, "And whose home is this?"
You wait a moment, no response.
What's the time of day?
By the time you've gone around and into the forest, you probably spent a little bit of time investigating. It's closer to that 4:15, 4:30 mark, but with the forest being around you, it's occluding a lot of light, so it's a lot darker in here than usual. You can still see pretty well. Obviously, with your tabaxi eyes, you can see most shades of gray, black, and white, but no color so far. Unless, I mean, you've got the torch now, so that's giving you a good amount of light as well.
So we're getting close to nighttime.
Definitely closer to nighttime.
Okay. How long will this torch burn for?
I'd give it a good half an hour. From your training, you would have learned to stoke a torch good enough that it lasts quite a while. And it's not a small little, like hand torch. It's a pretty long piece of wood that you've wrapped around with enough tar and fat that it's going to burn for a while.
I'm going to go back out of the cave and find some dry wood. I'm going to pop that into the entrance of the cave, put the torch on it. I'm going to walk away and build a blind up one of the trees overlooking the cave entrance.
Yeah, cool. You do that. It takes you a little bit of time. Let's say it's closer to that 5 o'clock mark, but you see the smoke does not enter into the cave. It almost hits an invisible wall, and then it just goes straight up from there.
So is it a very sharp and then up, or is it just slowly float around?
More the latter. So it's a slow float around. It's not like there is an actual door. Again, you were able to pass the threshold, but since then it seems like some sort of abjuration is on this.
Magic. So I'm going to build that blind up one of the trees, and I'm going to watch the entrance of the cave for a little while.
Yeah, cool. How long would you like to spend here watching?
Let's see if anything happens in the next couple of hours.
Yeah. You are being patient, watching. Nothing changes. There's no voices, there's no movement in the forest. If anything, most of the fauna here are so scattered that you probably won't see anything for days. That deer was put there on purpose. Nothing really happens in those few hours.
Is it now after dark?
Definitely. Definitely. Closer to, let's say, if you waited for a couple of hours past 5, probably that 9 o'clock mark.
I'm going to continue to wait till midnight.
Yeah, cool. You continue to wait till midnight. Midnight comes around. What do you do?
Nothing's still happening?
Nothing happens.
I'm going to slowly... You know what? I'm going to wait till morning.
Yeah, cool. You get to midnight and you think, okay, this is a perfect time. But then you think, let's wait till the light of day. You wait. Dawn comes through, somewhat still obscured by the heavy foliage of the trees, but nothing changes from the cave entrance. The fire at this point, depending on how much wood you put in, it's starting to die out at this point.
Okay, I'm going to leave the blind and then walk into the cave.
Are you still preparing a torch, or are you just walking in?
I'm going to prepare a torch as I walk in.
Sure. You enter.
And I'm going to look for traps this time.
Yeah, good. There you go. Go ahead and roll perception then. God damn it, he's learning. Fuck.
Oh, nice. That's a 22.
22. Brilliant. You tread very carefully, and you see that there are other pieces of wires and silver threads that are all around. You carefully weave yourself around them so as not to alert whatever is inside this cave. You inspect every shadow as you walk around, and then a glimmer of a metallic object once again catches your eye. As you take a closer look, you recognize the silver blade that belonged to a fellow witcher of yours. He reportedly went missing a few months ago. You never heard anything about it, though. You scan the area, and you find other artifacts and medallions belonging to other schools of witchers. As you enter into the atrium of the cave, after, let's say, about a 5-minute slow-paced walk, you hear a voice. How fitting that one who treats the lives of mortals as cattle should be led to his own slaughter. You can make another perception check.
25.
Your eyes dart across the room, and you are quickly trying to identify the threat. The direction of the voice seems aimless, but you do find a small music box hidden well in the shadows. If it weren't for your tabaxi eyes, you wouldn't have seen shit. That box is attached to a few pipes that go all around the cavern or cave system, and you see that it's almost echoing whatever it's playing. Beside the box, though, you see a pair of stark cat eyes looking back directly at you. Make a dexterity saving throw.
19.
19? Cool. You pass. You see a dart just flies right past you, and you just move your head right out of the way. Instantly, your heart rate just starts elevating. Roll initiative.
5.
5. Okay, unlucky.
So how big's the room?
The atrium of the cave is decent size. So I would say the size of a moderate hall. I wouldn't say that it's super huge or cavernous. It's just a very small cave, essentially. I'd say about 25 meters in diameter. So not huge, but decent. Cool. You got a 5? This person got a 13. So this person's going to go first. Out from the shadows, a humanoid of medium muscular build, pale white hair, and a clean shave, revealing a very sharp jaw, rushes towards you with a steel sword in hand. And they go to attack you. Does an 18 hit you?
Yes, it does.
You see a steel sword and the armor of what looks like another witcher swing by you. You try to get out of the way, but it's just a moment too late. Typically, you can react a little bit quicker than monsters. Witchers are trained, though, and you see this sword just slashes you for 7 points of damage. You don't feel any poison or anything immediately in your blood, but you're standing face to face with another witcher. You don't understand, but I need to do this. Just lay down your arms, and I can make this very quick. What do you do?
Okay. I'm going to attack him back.
Yeah, cool. Brilliant.
I'm going to start things off with a bonus action. And I am going to use my Crimson Right. So I need to do that. I take 5 damage, and it becomes lightning damage.
Ooh, lightning damage is very good.
Sorry, thunder.
Thunder.
Lightning or thunder? Hang on.
Typically, it's lightning damage.
Yeah, I think it's lightning.
That's the evocation. Yeah.
I strike back, but before I do, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chug down one of my mutagen things, and it's going to increase my dexterity by 3.
Yeah, brilliant. That's definitely going to come in handy.
I'm going to swing.
So, bonus action you've used for your Crimson Right. You've chugged a mutagen, and now you're going to go and swing at this witcher.
14.
14,
No.
unfortunately, misses.
Next swing. Oh, that's much better. That is a 27.
27 definitely hits this young man. Go ahead and roll your damage.
11 slashing and 3 lightning.
Brilliant. So you come in with 11 points of slashing and 3 points of lightning, dealing a total of 14 points of damage to this gentleman. He just reels back, instantly hurt, but expecting a fight from a fellow witcher. You see a wolf medallion on him, denoting which school he's from, He takes out his steel sword, throws it into the shadows, and unsheaths his silver sword. Fine, I'll just cut you down like the monster you are.
I'm going to run.
Yeah, cool.
Since I attack, I have the mobile feat, so I'm going to run.
Cool. You start running. How much movement do you have?
Well, okay. I have 40 feet of movement.
Brilliant. You use your 40 feet of movement and you just dart out of there. You pretty much get to the middle of the cavern system. You know where the traps are. I'm just going to say that you're avoiding it. I'm not going to make you roll dex checks at all.
I can run on the wall.
Yeah, even better. You get to about 40 yards out. As that happens, you see that this witcher is just breathing heavily, just violently raging, and you see that he is using his action to essentially dash and sprint out. He is definitely going to get past you. He gets around you with his movement, and he has about 60 yards. He gets 10 feet around you. He sees you and pushes past you and then stands in the way with his silver sword. What do you do?
Is he blocking the entire thing?
He's blocking a good portion of it, but he's not blocking the entire entrance, no.
Okay, I can probably get him outside then. So I'm going to run up to him and attack him again.
Yeah, cool. Go ahead and roll an attack roll.
Oh, nice. That's a 26.
26 definitely hits.
With the Crimson Right, that continues, doesn't it?
Yes.
Well, that's an awful roll. That is 6 slashing and 2 lightning.
Okay. A little bit less, but overall, still hurting him.
I'll do my second attack. That is 25.
25 still hits.
Oh, that's much better. That is 13 slashing and 3 lightning. And now I'm going to run past him again.
Yeah, cool. You push past him again with mobile, and he is just reeling back from these 2 massive hits. He just growls at you and turns and goes, "For fuck's sake." And he uses his movement. He sprints to the entrance and well outside the cave where you are standing right now. What do? It's back to your turn.
So as a human, he would only have 30 feet, so he's still about 10 feet from me.
He's still about 10 feet from you, yeah.
Well, now that we're outside, I'm going to run further into the forest.
Okay.
Except I'm going to dash this time.
Yeah, brilliant.
Actually, with my bonus action...
Mm-hmm.
No, it's a full action. Okay. I'll use a full action to cast Longstrider on myself.
Brilliant. Even more mobility.
So I'll use that instead of dash.
Mm-hmm.
So that gets me up to... That's 50.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to go 50 feet away from him. And this time, I'm going to put my rapier and shield away. And I'm going to pull out my longbow.
So you pull out your longbow and you're laying in wait. You knock an arrow and you wait for him to get into the perfect distance. Mm-hmm. You draw it back. Essentially, as your turn ends, his begins. Mm-hmm. You see that he's just so quick. Not as quick as you, obviously, but he is very quick, even for a Witcher. And he looks directly at you. Look at us, fighting each other like the savages that we are. Don't you understand that we're the real monsters in this world? Strigas, algals, drowners, they all occur naturally in this world. You and I, we were ripped away from humanity as children, and then we had our humanity ripped away from us. Dozens of boys, subjected to rigorous training, their innocent thoughts replaced with knowledge of the occult. How many of your brothers died during those tests? We are the results of countless experiments and ungodly rituals. So tell me, who's the real monster here? My duty is to get rid of the world of our kind. Restore the natural order of things. And if you wish to stand in my way, you can join your fellow brethren.
There's nothing natural about those monsters. They came here during the conjunction. We were made to protect humanity, and that is exactly what I'm going to do right here.
Magic created those monsters. Magic. Natural, occurring magic in this world. You and I were fucking test subjects. You and I were made in a bloody lab. How many of your friends died in front of you? Are you just gonna push that aside? You're gonna stand on the side of the people who made you a fucking monster? And you see that he is just walking towards you, just steely-eyed, determined. He is enraged. You see the typical veins showing up from a Witcher that has been chugging a couple of toxins. It is back to your turn, though.
I am going to take a couple of shots at him.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, let's begin with the longbow. It's not bad. That is a dirty 20.
Dirty 20 hits.
Actually, no, I can't use that because that's on my rapier. 12 piercing. 24.
Yep, hits.
And that is 7 piercing.
Brilliant.
And now I'm going to move again another 40 feet back.
Yeah, cool. You are maintaining your distance. You're going about this very, very smart. You're keeping your distance. You know that this guy is a melee fighter, and you see that this guy is just persistent, but he understands that he's being drawn out. So come his turn, he waves his hand around, casts a spell that you instantly recognize as invisibility. He is out of there. Back to your turn.
Well, this isn't good. Okay. What does the forest floor look like?
It's still a bit wet from the rain the previous day, but it's mostly just fallen leaves, sticks, dead wood, essentially.
So we leave footprints.
Definitely.
Can I see where he is from his footprints?
You can make a perception check, for sure. I'll give you that as a free action.
That's a dirty 20.
Dirty 20. You're looking around and you don't really see any footprints, but you look up at the trees and you start seeing that some of the bark is being compressed, almost like something is clawing and holding on. The moment you recognize that, though, it's his turn. He rushes at you, and as he comes out of invisibility, you see the form of a werewolf. This blood hunter just jumps out at you, and now that he's finally close to you, takes a slash at you, and natural 18 on the die, I'm pretty sure that hits you.
That certainly does.
And his second attack is a little bit less, 13.
13 does not hit.
His first attack deals a whopping 10 points of damage to you, and you see that he is enraged in that werewolf form right now.
Okay, I'm going to switch back to my rapier. It's a dirty 20.
Hits.
That is 9 slashing to lightning. I'll hit again. 21.
Hits.
That is 9 slashing and 4 lightning.
Brilliant.
How's he looking?
He's looking really, really bad.
Well, that's good because I'm below half. So.
Yeah. He is knocking on death's door and he's just begging to be let in at this point. Back to his turn, though, unless you're moving away. Because
I'm moving away.
Yeah, good.
And I'm going to use my species trait to double my movement speed this turn.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move 80 feet back this time.
Good. So you move a full 80 feet back, but this werewolf has a little bit more speed than his normal base human form, and he moves a little bit quicker towards you. Definitely not close enough, but you see that he is bloodied, his fur is all mangled, and you see that the blood is starting to coagulate unnaturally because of all the toxins and mutagens, and you see he looks directly at you. Are you honestly fucking kidding me right now? Look at us. We're fighting our own kind. It's led to this. We should be attacking monsters, right? Look at yourself. Look at me. Is this natural?
As far as I'm concerned, you've killed our brothers. You are the monster here.
I've done this world a goddamn service, and I will do this world another goddamn service by putting you in the grave.
The only service to be done here is you being put in your grave.
He just lets out a volatile roar, and he starts pursuing you again. It is back to your turn.
Okay, I'm going to switch back to the bow. Or dirty 20.
Hits.
That is an 18.
18 also hits. His AC is 16.
Oh, hang on. Arrows. So that is a 6. And that is much better at a 12.
Cool. You take your longbow back out, quickly switch between weapons, and you just let loose 2 arrows. You see that both of them just thud into his chest. How do you want to do this?
I'm going to shoot both of them right into his chest so that he's down, he's bleeding out. I'll walk up to him. Sleep now, brother, for you have fallen already. And I take my weapon and I take his head off.
Yeah, cool. You slash his head off and you see his form reverts back into human form. You've cut his head off, but you see that there's some sort of lingering spirit still there, and you hear a voice in your head, which you can only assume is from him. There are more witchers who believe in my cause. They're scattered all around the continent, calling our kind. Hunt or be hunted, right? Either way, I can move on and I can die peacefully, knowing my work will continue with you, killing more of our kind. Godspeed. And the spirit vanishes. You're left alone on the floor of this oak forest. Small beams of light poke through, illuminating the body in front of you. And that's where we'll end this session. Good Lord. I hope you had fun with that.
I certainly did.
Yeah, I was trying to create a really spooky atmosphere. Oh, I love playing with you. You're so smart. And honestly, that's a problem for a DM. Is another DM who knows what to do. As soon as you set up the fire, I was like, I know what he's doing. But as I was writing this session, and we'll talk a bit more on the Patreon, but as I was writing this session, I was going, what would I do if I was playing? More importantly, what would Ben do? So I made it so that there was some abjuration around. It's a witcher fighting a witcher. The guy's going to be prepared. Right?
Exactly.
Good Lord. That was so much fun. Is there anything that you'd like to plug at all?
No, just had a lot of fun.
We'll end the session right there. If you like what you heard, then please leave us a review and share it with your friends. The best way to enjoy D&D is with other people. So bring your friends along into this journey. If you want to hear bonus episodes and get access to exclusive content like our community chat and PDF versions of the adventures I create, then consider joining the Patreon using the link in the show notes. I hope you had fun, and I'll see you in the next episode.